prototype, right? You're not going to be able to apply for patents, right? It's just not feasible. Validate your customer needs, refine your designs, and then validate your designs. Go through funding, which is our week 13 really, right? In the Shark Tank, that's the funding bit. The making, for those who are really, good ideas and whatnot, go through Kickstarter, campaign it, actually get the funding to do it, and then that would be like small product design. Any questions on this? Any questions on what type of products we're looking for? No? It's a bit hard to conceptualize now because, the funky stuff, the cool stuff seems to always be in a system. You sort of disregard things like that tripod. That little tripod here, it's pretty innovative. If you look at how it's collapsed, how it can shrink into a certain size, the head and what with the screw tips and all that. So something like that could be of interest. Cool. Right, so I don't know if you want to hear a few examples. I came up in like 4 minutes, so it's pretty bad, I think. But something like, if I was to use my own approach, which is come up with a daily annoying point, is to grabbing the swipe card out from the car when I'm at the boom gate, right? Just because you're sitting and all that sort of stuff. Now there's a family of solutions that one could ask. So why isn't the boom gate automated? Well, it's not really in my control. I didn't set it up. Perhaps there's no swiping. They could just install a camera to recognize the plate, right? Again, not my control. I could just be preemptive and take the card out of hand, but one would not do that. It sort of changes your behavior slightly. Remote access, right? Again, I don't have access to that. So could there be a simple solution that involves scanners, which, it's pretty cheap by now, and use of QR codes to just signify that this person has purchased a parking permit in place of that Macro logo on your windscreen or a car screen. So, that would be something that you can start to think, like step by step. Could I work with this? Could I work with that? If not, I use something else to just combine that. This is random. It's not really applicable for our course, but you can see how the product might be derived. Now, this was a solution. This was a problem that a colleague has said. Right? They're enthusiasts in planting, right, home gardening, and they have a real issue in monitoring moisture level and pH. Right. So one could ask, could you actually just put probes in there? Right. It will just constantly, it's like the fish tanks. Right. Put a probe in there, it will just tell you, yeah, tomato is too basic, it needs more acidity, and there comes Sheldon.
Hey, hi.
Hi. Yeah, and so could you design, right, pixel changing pots, perhaps, right? Obviously that's a bit complicated, but there are dye, right, that changes colors based on pixel. If the pot itself somehow has this color changing aspect to it, you could quickly spot if a certain plant is below its pH level or whatnot. Hi, Chaplin. Do you want to cover something that we? So we basically went through. I showed them the videos, right? The motivation behind this unit and all the sort of comments that we've had.
So the first slide already.
Yeah.
About the first slide.
So just let you say a few words on this because I know this is your passion.
Oh yeah. Sorry guys, I'm late because I just came from a meeting at 44 Waterloo Road. It's about research and industrial engagement. So, all right. Now, how many of you are excited about this product development course? Just a few hands, show of hands. Okay, I just want to walk you through some of the things may be redundant, right? I mean, maybe you have already covered them, but just bear with me for a while. Okay, so, all right. So where is Make 4.1? 4.1 is basically a capstone unit. Right? So personally, for you guys who may not know, I am now officially the program convener for mechanical engineering. So if you need any help with your academic advice, progression, please come to me. Or if you don't want to speak to me, that's fine, but I'm not sure how can I help you. otherwise, but anyway, so if you remember, your Eng 150 is basically on your fundamental mechanics, right? You learn how to draw a free body diagram, and by now you should know that they really lay the fundamentals for you to do the more advanced mechanical engineering subjects, right? And then as you progress on to the second year units, right? Sorry? Did someone say?
There's a flashback when you said free body diagram.
Yeah, okay. So the second year units, you have that 201, 202, 203, 204, right? If you remember them, 201 is basically your dynamics, right? You learn about kinematic motions. 204, which is something that you hate. Probably not, I'm not too sure. Mechanics of solids, right? You learn about structural analysis, and then you have your fluid mechanics, which is your 202, and then your 203 is your engineering design. And then we progress on to one more year, right, which is all the advanced third year level units. You did, you probably would have done your 303, mechanical engineering design 2, which if you don't have the skills in Mech 303, can you please work hard for your Mech 401, because so far, all the students who don't have the prerequisite have failed Mech 401 or have done very poorly for Mech 401. But I have let some of you guys through because I understand that you guys want to graduate on time. That's perfectly fine, but just bear in mind, alright? So, and if it happens not to do well in Mech 401, to me, the reason is simple. It's because maybe you're not well trained enough in Mech 303, right? So anyway, but it's possible, right? If you put some effort in it, it's possible. And then you have your applied numerical engineering, your heat transfer and thermodynamics. So I view 401 as the big final exam, right? If there's any reason that I think that a student is probably not suitable to be graduated, it will be their performance in 401, right? Because in Mech 401, it's all about you having the ability to apply your knowledge in your second and your third year to do something that's really creative and innovative. Okay, so I see 401 as a huge final exam. And your technical report, the final report, we are demanding a blueprint of your product. So that's what we really want to see. If there's any sort of a vague concept, vague ideas that is not well analyzed or calculated, with no rationale, engineering rationale involving the design, then you just need to be more aware of that, right? So I view 401 really as the final exam, right? So that's 401. And 401 is very industrial relevant. The reason why we have 401 is because the whole curriculum was being set up, and when I designed it together with some of the pioneers of the program, we actually did a lot of research into the market of what sort of jobs are available for mechanical engineers. And 70% of the jobs are related to product development. So this, you can find yourself in the mining industries, developing products replacement for existing mining equipment, or into high-end product development, right? So there's a whole spectrum of sort of jobs that's related to product development. The second thing, which has sort of an overlap with a product development, is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and designing. So it's also part of the designing, it's also part of a product development, but I choose to put it up as two different sort of units. So that's why your fourth year units are highly valuable. If there's anything that you can speak to your employers about when you graduate, these are the two courses that they will find relevancy, right? Rather than talking about your mechanics of solids, which most of the employers, they probably would have forgotten the theory. But these two units are the two units you really need to emphasize on, because it basically forms a kind of a team for you to be able to communicate with your employers effectively. All right, so that's how the whole curriculum progressed. So product development and design development, I have a industrial work experience for 5 years in product design development industry. I used to work with Hewlett-Packard. Many of you must have heard of me saying that, right? Sharing that. I have done approximately, I would say, 6 to 7 product life cycles, which is enough. My last appointment was a product development manager. I managed a team of mechanical engineers, developed mobile printers for Hewlett-Packard before I chose to join the academia, right? So, and being an academic. And I can tell you that our role as product designers play a very important role in terms of the growth of an economy. You like it or not, right? The growth of an economy is basically underpinned by the innovation in product development, right? Be it the cars, the automobile vehicles, be it the new aeroplanes, be it your drone that can carry human beings. These are the things that basically attract consumers to spend. And because consumers spend, the economy will grow, right? And you can see that, take Japan, for example, right? I mean, we all know that Japan strive very hard on technological advancement, something between the 1950 onwards, right? I think one of the major issues because after the Second World War, they need to focus on something else, right? So that's what was their focus, technological advancement, and we know that Japan has a very long history in terms of tech development, right? But Japan economy has basically strained since 20 years ago. And one of the reasons, I wouldn't say it's the main factor, but the main factor, one of the reasons, the key factor has to be related to because there's a decline in terms of the country's innovation. Why is that so? Because the neighboring countries such as Korea has emerged in terms of coming up with new technological products. You guys must be familiar with Samsung. How many mechanical engineers do you think Samsung hires? I can tell you, out of the group of engineers, 70 to 75% of the engineers are mechanical engineers. Because we are the product developers, right? We are the product designers. We come up with all these interesting, innovative products. Now, if you have a problem with inventing gadgets, you just need to basically understand that there's a big difference between a product and what you consider as a gadget, which I think is an issue which I'm going to touch on later. But if you look at the slides there, right, you can see that these are the kind of things that we can take from the news, right? Sony expects more than 500 million or close to $500 million of loss this year as the financial woes continues, right? And this is basically inversely related to the growth of Japan as an economy, right? It is basically shrinking. Now, on the other hand, you can see that Korea, over the past few years, they have emerged as the new key country with a very high GDP, and that is no doubt associated with their investment in technology. So we play a very important role, right? As product designers, developers, like it or not, right? Our role as mechanical engineers is very important in this aspect. I'm not going to touch on that slide, but do we have any innovative product in Australia? So if you look at this chart, the top 10 countries in terms of innovation, we are not in that list, right? But then again, bear in mind that we only have about slightly over 20 million in terms of the population, right? So we are quite not as big as a country, right, compared to some other countries. But do we have any innovative product? The answer is yes. So over the years, I wonder whether you guys have heard of ResMed. ResMed is a listed company. They develop CPAP devices, continuous positive airway pressure devices. They hire a lot of mechanical engineers. In fact, a bulk of the engineers are mechanical, right? And they develop these kind of devices to help split open the upper airway because of sleep apnea disease, right? Which is characterized by the repetitive collapse of the human airway during sleep, and that affects 7% of the human population. So share price in ResMed has been fantastic. It has been growing at an exponential rate, right? How many of you know that the car booster seat is also an invention in Australia? Right. When you look at the car booster seat, by now, with your capabilities, you should be able to design everything that will make a decent car booster seat. That's how I visualize it. Right? Your mechanics of solids theory, your CAD, the manufacturing drawing, you should be able to deliver the blueprint for a simple product like this. And like it or not, the truth is, we are in fact in Australia the authority that basically permits what sort of a car booster seat is safe enough to use on the road. So a lot of American companies, they have to come to us to do all these tests. So we are quite big in terms of car booster seat industry, right? And this PowerPoint, multi-PowerPoint board, if you read about the story, it's a bit of a sad case. An engineer in Australia designed it. He's an Australian, but then he didn't patent the product. So the innovation was basically infringed, right, by other people. So we didn't really get a lot out from it. But Brazil, recently I bought a few products in the kitchen sort of products, right, that's related. How many of you know that Brazil is an Australian company? And have you heard of Brazil before? Yeah, Brazil brand. Okay, so we do have our innovation, and here after you graduate, the inspiration is that you will continue to basically innovate products with your capabilities, right, to be part of that. Now, this is a slide which I'm going to talk a bit about. It's on selfie stick. Right? Every time when I talk about this selfie stick, I need to bring along a selfie stick as well. So I brought along a selfie stick in fact. Alright, so every time when I talk about this selfie stick, it will laugh, and then I will have two different responses. Right? Now the first group of response, which I have no doubt is a majority of you, will think that this is a silly product. Right? And you, come on, mechanical engineer, this is not what I'm going to design. Right? This will be your mentality. Right? Another group of people, maybe is a minority, you will think that this is a fantastic product. Yeah, I saw my sister use it, and my parents use it as well, and I use it as well. Okay, that's fine, right? But look, your emotions about this product doesn't concern me at all. I don't care. I don't care how you view this product, whether is it a silly product or a good product. To me, what makes money is a good product. Right? How many of you think that this product has brought in terms of the profit for the person who invented it? It's heaps, man. It's massive. By now, it is still producing in China like crazy. Right? When I first come across this product, I was in Vancouver, and I was on a short exchange program for research purposes, right? And I was visiting places in Canada, and I